Don't you love how while everyone is out here talking about what's popular at Olive Young, I'm here talking about Daiso. A while ago, I made a video talking about some makeup at Daiso. And since then, there have been so many brands that have popped up. But one of the original not original, but one of the brands that really started at the beginning of this sort of new generation of Daiso makeup is Droppy, which is made by The Sam. And I made a video trying out their base makeup, but they recently renewed a lot of their stuff and created new products in the lineup. Like they have this new vegan formula foundation. Before it used to just be like a squeeze tube foundation. And they even have pot concealers, which honestly, I'm really excited about this one because this could be a replacement for my Malo Wilts. So let's just play around with some makeup. Actually, before I do the foundation, let's do corrector because I usually start with corrector anyway. This is what they originally look like. I told you this was like an exact dupe of the Sam concealer I always be using, but this is the rebrand. There is like a slight color difference, I feel like, especially in the peach one. Actually, both of them do look like 2% lighter. This is the original ones, and this is the new reformulated ones. Actually, let me compare it to the original, the Sam concealers I always use. These are the Sam ones, and I can honestly, I mean, to be honest, the green one, dupe. Pretty much a dupe. The peach one, the ones available at Daiso are only like a tad bit lighter, but it's such a little difference because for me, especially since I put them under my foundation anyway, you can pretty much call these a dupe. Although the price difference is so, because the original Sam one isn't that expensive anyway. This one is probably like a $2 cheaper, but you get less product. So this doesn't feel any different. Let me use the peach one. Like I always do. Actually, you know what? I do think there is a little bit of a difference though in the form. This feels a little bit more watery because I feel like with the original Sam correctors, it feels like a concealer that has like a peach tone or like a green tone because it covers really well, while this is a little bit more watery. So it's more just adjusting the tone of the area because you can still see a little bit of my skin through it. I do like that aspect of the Sam one where it's thicker so it can fill in. Like when I use the green one here, it fills in the pores in those areas, but it can be a little bit much if you're really just trying to use a corrector, just correct some redness on your face, because the Sam one is very opaque. And so it can look like a spot of concealer if you don't do a good job of blending it. I'm gonna use the green one. The roomies are back. And for some reason, they want to be in the rooms all fucking day. But then suddenly when I start recording, that's when they want to go outside, use the restroom. Like it's like fucking clockwork. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is vegan, just like the foundation. And it feels vegan, if that makes sense, because it's a lot more glowy than the Sam one. The Sam one's a lot more matte, and you don't get this glow. Mind you, I have been like on my little tretinoin sort of like routine, so my skin's been very snatched lately, so it could be coming from that, but it feels more chokchoke compared to the Sam one, which is more, I guess, I don't think that one is vegan, so it has more of those like, you know, makeup qualities, if that makes sense. And a common, I feel like, characteristic of vegan makeup products is that they're very glowy, so that could be good, because especially if you put on top of like a foundation on top of this, if the concealer is too dry, that could make the foundation look cakey. If you're the type of girly that literally just, you don't wear a ton of makeup and you just want to correct some redness or something like, you know, like discoloration, I think this would be where it's at for you. Now, the foundation, the vegan formula foundation Renew. I tried this on my hand and it feels like a vegan foundation, if that makes sense. It's very runny. Now it looks like a regular foundation here, but if you blend it, you can kind of see how it just, it kind of gets into the lines of my skin like this. And so that tells me you really can't be caking this shit on. I would almost treat it like a skin tint rather than a foundation. I'm thinking that this would work really well with a spatula brush. Get you up close so you can really see the tea. You see that? Maybe, I don't think you really see this, but I can see up close that there's some brush lines, which obviously I wouldn't normally worry about because I'm going to use a puff with this anyway. But with some of my other BB creams or foundations, when you're using like a spatula or something, it's like a smooth sort of application. But this one, you can really see the lines. So the formula, it tells me the formula is a lot more watery, which, you know, as a vegan foundation, unsurprising to be honest. There's a scent though. Kind of smells like, it's not a strong scent, but it smells kind of like a grandma's or auntie's skincare. It's giving Pond's, that's what it is, Pond's. If y'all are familiar with Pond's skincare. That's really pretty. Now, I say it's pretty right now, but I can, having tried so many foundations throughout my life, blending this shit on and using a puff, it feels like it's not gonna last long. It really, like if you have, here's the thing. If you have amazing, smooth, clear skin that is normal, that's not dry, not oily, this is gonna be great for you. But based off of how my skin is, I can tell that it's probably not gonna be the most long wearing. I know there is a good population out there that has really good skin that doesn't really have that many issues with makeup. Oftentimes when you're like watching makeup content or whatever and reviews, and in the comments everyone's like, oh, this is good for oily skin, this is good for dry skin. Those are the ones that are gonna be commenting, asking, right? While the people that have great skin that really don't really have any issues with makeup, they're not really gonna be commenting and asking shit like that. I can already tell this would be great for you, those girlies that have great skin. For me, it looks amazing right now, but 뭔가 it doesn't feel like it's gonna be like a 단단한 base, like a sort of a resilient sort of like long wearing base, which I like because I'm not, I don't know, girl. K-beauty YouTubers love to talk about like, especially in Korea, like, oh, touching up, this is great for touching up. Girl, I don't want to fucking touch up. I don't want to fucking touch up. So currently, love it. Looks great, natural, thin, but just enough coverage to where it evened everything out. So that corrector that I put on is pretty much covered. My chin here though, this area, we can't do anything about her. So we'll see how she kind of sits. I need to use the restroom. I'll be right back. I'm back. I gave it a little time to sit. Yeah, it looks pretty. But definitely it's giving skin tint vibes. Very natural, which, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's hard to tell the difference despite my camera being this highly detailed. Like the very subtle differences you have to see in person, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. There's still a lot of other stuff. There's still the other liquid concealer that's just skin tone. There's a new, 뭐지? 이거 뭐야? Concealer stick. I bought this because I have this like red purple bit under my eye. I want to see if I can use it to cover that, but also if I can use this for 애교살 makeup, for like brightening the 애교살. And not gonna lie, I did actually already try this off camera and I really like it. It's really smooth and creamy. You just have to, I would just tap it, because if you like go straight in, it's really pigmented. I don't know if I want that much product on my under eye. But I should have, I don't know why, but I get a lot of like dead skin around right on my 애교살. So sometimes if I put concealer, it can look a little crusty, which, you know, in general, every time I wake up in the morning, I have a lot of eye boogers. Luckily, what I do like about this is it's more 촉촉해 than other concealer pencils. Concealer pencils can be very dry, I feel like, which is why I don't always gravitate towards them. But this one is a good balance between being stiff, but also creamy enough to where it's smooth and blendable and it doesn't like look too cakey. You can see it might as well a lot brighter looking. The shade Neutral Peach is really good for that specific sort of moment. I mean, you could also use it here too, obviously, because I think this originally it's meant for dark circles. So this is really good for like if you're the type that just uses your cushion, whatever, and you still notice that you have a little bit of dark circle left, you can just tap this underneath. But I don't really need to do that because I already put corrector, liquid corrector under my eye. Now, the one thing I was the most excited for, honey, was the concealer pot. Now, concealer pots have become quite popular as of recent. This one is the one I'm always using on my channel, the Malo Wilts one. This one's actually a German product, but it's very popular in Korea. Also, it's very easy to get because you can just get on coupon. It's like 12 bucks. It's very stiff, hard, but very full coverage concealer. So I often even use this on my whole face sometimes. Then there is the Semon, which is the most popular. This is a large foundation version, but you get it. If I were to compare it to the Malo Wilts one, it's more malleable. It feels more like you know, when you go to a Spirit Halloween store during Halloween, you're buying makeup from like the, you know, to do your vampire makeup. And there's like that oily type of makeup that you buy, like the cheap costume makeup. I almost sometimes associate this with that in a way because it's very malleable. Obviously, it's not as bad as the cheap Halloween makeup, but it's not as like stiff as I would like it. One that's definitely more on the chokchokan side, like the more moisturizing side, is the Glow Not Dry Concealer. You show this so often on my channel. I'm showing you this one specifically because not only do they have skin tone colored concealer pots, they also came out with a white one. And I'm feeling like this might be the answer because I do like this. I use it for here in the center of my face because I want to brighten my face, but it can be a little bit too chokchokhe sometimes, especially now that it's becoming warmer, getting to summer. This is a lot more, it's like a good in-between of these two, I think. Right amount of chokchokan vibes, right amount of stiff vibes. If that makes sense. I didn't actually swatch. I should probably swatch this shit on my hands for you, so you get a better idea of the texture. Yep. It's like a slightly more moisturized version of the Malo Wilts. That's what they look like. Ooh. Now that is smooth. You see how even it is? And it kind of glides over and fills in the lines of my hands. That's a sign of a good concealer for me. What I thought this was comparable to is actually the Chungseom. I've shown this so many other times when I would be doing other people's makeup. You know this thing from Chungseom? There's a liquid foundation here. But this particular concealer I love to use, not just for spots, but for secondary coverage. So that's what I really wanted to buy it for because I was trying it and it has a very similar texture. It's like stiff, but has a little bit of moisture in there, so it's not like it's not as dry as the Malo Wilts one. I already have a decent amount of coverage on my face, but sometimes what happens is you do your foundation, whatever, and the foundation sort of sits on your face, but then the redness that's left over kind of comes up again because if your skin is more on the dry, dehydrated side, it kind of eats some of the foundation and you're left with just, you know, half of what you put on. So what I like to do is use something like this on a puff. And also, I feel like pot type concealers are really good for filling in the sort of, because this area tends to be not only red, right, but also have larger pores. And I feel like it smooths that out a lot. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's good. It might be really hard to see, but it's just a faint tad bit more coverage. It doesn't look cakey, but I'm getting just enough of a, I guess, coverage so that it looks more perfected. And it's like the perfect consistency for blemishes, because we know blemishes can tend to be, if you're a spot concealer type of girl, like if you get a spot and you like to pinpoint conceal it, generally spots tend to be very dry. It has like that crusty layer on top of the blemish, right? Because sometimes with things like this, the pot concealer from the Sam is very popular for blemish coverage, but I just feel like because it's so loose almost that it kind of slips off of the blemish. Also right here, I can get a little red right here. Look at that. And honestly, I don't even mind that the foundation is not as high in coverage because, again, I'm just using foundation anyway to just even out my skin tone. I'm not trying to cover everything necessarily. If I want to, I can, but for something like this, totally understandable. So this, in combination with this, I think it's very nice. Also, just whatever's left on my eyelids, so it's, because my eyelids are looking a little bit red today. Okay, now there is the white one. And the reason I bought this one was because I wanted to compare it to the glow one, because this is not cheap, right? The fact that this is like less than $5, we might have a contender on our hand, but also because they did come out with some blushes. I didn't really want to get the cool tone one because it was a little too cool tone for me. And this one, the more warm tone peach one, they have like these stick products. There's the blush, there's a glowy highlighter, and then there's a contour stick. I've said so many times, a cool tone, right? And so even if I do want a cool tone look, sometimes whatever I use, it just goes too warm tone on me. So I figured maybe if we use the white one first as like a brightening, and then we put this on top, it will prevent the darkening or warmifying of that color, if that makes sense. So let me try this one using the same puff. Uh-oh, making it dirty. And I'm use it, even if I'm not using it for that blush effect, maybe I want to just highlight my face, right? I'll use it here. The center of my face, like the nose, around here. Sometimes my cheek tends to go like gaunt in this area, and so what I like to do sometimes is just brighten this V part right here, so it looks like there's more volume in my face, just a little bit, a tad, because I don't want to give myself white face. Just a bit above my cheekbones here, and just like the other concealer pot, it's a really nice finish. Like the texture itself is really good. It's a lot more stiff than the glow one, which is great if you have dry skin. But for me, although I have dehydrated skin, I can't go overly oily with my products, or else it will just look like an oil slick. So this is a good in-between. Now we can try the blush. I was a little bit surprised because I did swatch this off camera. It's really glowy, like extremely glowy, which honestly, not really surprised either, because it's more of a vegan formula. And usually when people think vegan, they associate with glowy, right? Because, I don't know, more matte makeup looks more like makeup, and so people in their heads think like, oh, there's probably more chemicals that are not good for your skin in there. I don't know. My initial instinct to use this blush stick was to just swipe it on, but I feel like with all the shit we put on first, it might, and also because it's so chok-chok-hae, it could kind of re-moisturize the base makeup I have on now and erase it. So I'm actually just going to use a stippling brush. This is a Sephora foundation brush. This is what I use in my House of Her video. I'm just going to use that to pick up some of the product, like this. I like it because there's a flat edge, so I can just push it. I'm just going to place it here. Oh, bitch, that's like really dewy. Like really dewy. And I feel like there's more glow than actual pigment, which if you are a light spring or light summer, this will look really pretty on you. But if you're not trying to look oily, this might be a problem. But what I like about this is that if you do actually have dry skin, and so you like your more moisturizing sort of base makeup, whatever products, then I think this is good for you because it's in this more 쫀쫀한 stick form, this more stiff stick form. It's not like a liquid blush, right? That's gonna kind of, I don't know, kind of get just sucked into your skin. This one has a little bit of stiffness to it, so it lasts a little bit better on the skin. Because you guys know my gripe with liquid foundation sometimes is that it's a little bit too thin almost. So that's why I like the AOU one, the AOU cream blush, and now this one is really nice. It's just a lot sheerer than I expected. If I use my finger, because even if I use my finger, I'm like, oh, let me try adding more, but you see how like sheer and glowy that is, which is pretty, but I don't think I'm gonna get more color from this. The other worry that I have is that the excessive glow from the blush will be hard to mesh with the, like, I mean, the base makeup isn't so matte, but it's also not overly dewy. So you'll see like a sort of like a line of demarcation of where the extreme glow of the blush ends and then your base makeup starts. So you have to do a really good job of blending this shit. And also if you have a lot of fine lines, like this is already immediate no, I think, because this is exactly the type of thing that can get stuck in your fine lines. So the color is really fucking pretty. Like, it's really pretty. But the fact that I also bought a highlighter stick, girl, Let's see, this is the shade number 1, Yunguang Champagne Beam. Ooh. I got this because I thought, maybe it might be like a dupe for the Chanel one, which I know is really popular. So why not make a Daiso version so that you don't have to spend a fucking arm and a leg for the... And also because it's always sold out, I heard, the Chanel one. Also, I know the Hints stick highlighter is very popular as well, but this one is a mix of the natural glow that you would see from this, plus some actual shimmer in there, which, honestly with you, I feel like would be overkill to use both of these at the same time. Because this gives you a glow too, right? Like, look at that. So if I were to use this on top, it would be almost... I almost would feel like the fact that there's actual, like, shimmer particles in here would dull this glow, which is more like a natural lit from within glow. I'll try using my finger. Yeah, you don't even notice it because it just blends into the glow from the blush already. It's right there. But that was pretty much already there to begin with, you know what I mean? I was worried that I would leave like a dent if I put my finger... Is there a dent? Can you see? I don't know, I can't tell. In person, it doesn't look like there is. There's definitely stuff on my finger, but in terms of like the glow here, my worry with shit like this is that if you touch it, immediately dent. But I don't really see one here. It might be in the video, but in person, I don't see it. So while I don't think I don't like this, it's just I don't think it makes sense to use both at the same time. It gives me the same vibe as those people on fucking social media that will be like, oh my god, look at that glow. They'll use like the Fui jelly pots or something, like, oh my god, look at that glow, and then immediately put their fucking like Huda Beauty Easy Bake powder on top. I'm like, what? Like pointless, you know what I mean? Now let's use the number 4 shading bronzer. Like, like a bronzer because it's legitimately a good cool tone contouring stick. It's almost like a pinky brown, to be honest. So not really bronzer, but I would say what they call it, bronzer or whatever. I am not a fan of bronzer on cool tone skin, but I think if you're gonna bronze, this would be the color, obviously, if you're more on the light skin side. Let's try here. It's really smooth and fucking creamy. Everything here is really fucking smooth and creamy, which to be honest is a little funny to me because oftentimes, especially if you're watching like the Korean reviews of these Daiso makeup stuff, they always refer to the fact that a lot of the people that would be shopping at Daiso would be students. But a lot of students really love that matte, I feel like in Korea, love to shove powder, because usually when you're a teenager and you're young, right, you have very excessively oily skin, and so powder is very popular to use amongst the youth. They'll shove a ton of their sebum powder, their oil powder, right, on top. So I could definitely see the youngins having to use their powder on top of all this shit because it's just so fucking glowy. I add it on the edge of my face for a bit of shape. Now I'm going to try it on my nose, which I could actually really get into this on my nose. Let me get my brush I don't really use. I don't like to use sticks this big. I do love a good nose contour stick, right? But it's so fucking big. I will use it with a brush, which when I'm doing other people's makeup is what I normally do anyway. But this is a great color for me, at least. It's cool toned enough, but not overly gray. Because sometimes, I mean, I do love a good gray contour, but sometimes, occasionally, it can look a little bit artificial in person, like almost like dirty in person. So having a tiny bit of warmth sometimes, this is nowhere near warm, but a little bit of that redness in there kind of helps keep it look more like real, I think. I think I'm gonna have to put this in my kit. I get a lot of people that have high nose bridges when I do their makeup, so it's like, what's the point in doing contour? Also because they don't really seem like the type of person to need or be doing contour anyway, so this is perfect for those types of people because if you just want to add a little bit of shape to the nose, because, you know, after the foundation, the concealer, sometimes the nose can look a little bit like almost blend into the face, so this is great. The color is great for just kind of adding back the dimensions of the nose without looking like nose contour. Was that it? I think that's it. Yeah. Let me add a little bit of a lippy into my eyebrows. I feel like this one would be really good for if you are like most people and you have that bit of gray around the edge of the lips. You can use this stick. Just kind of even that tone out. I bought this one because I was influenced by all the ads that have been running on TikTok and shit. This is Peripera's Ink Velvet in number 17, and I could have sworn, way before even during the pandemic, I had like an obsession with this one. I have a vivid memory of being obsessed with a certain Peripera color because I was like, this is the perfect, like rosy, everyday shade. But lately I've been seeing it a lot on social media because paid ads, right? The girls are getting paid. And apparently they spent quite a while developing this color because it's supposed to be like the perfect, like I said, not too warm, not too cool. I have seen some comments though saying that it looks too purple on them. If that is the case, it's probably just because like most people, we have like the grayish purple tones in the lips already. So sometimes it's good, even if you are cool toned, to use a warm base first to lift up that purple grayness and then use this sort of color on top. Or it might just be too light for you in general. So I'm gonna use it on a lip brush. It's like my lips, but just minus the excessive red tones in there. It smells so good. A very nostalgic smell. Now, it's a nice formula, like it's really smoothing and matte, but if you have a lot of dead skin that you tend to peel off your lips, and so your lips are really exposed to the elements and they're very just raw, you are gonna hate this formula because it almost stings, because you can almost feel like the volatile ingredients in there kind of settling into your lips. So it's nice and pretty and matte, but if you are just a chronic, dry-lipped, wrinkly-ass lip bitch like me, you're probably, you know, for me, back in the day when I was obsessed with it, I just dealt with it. You can see on my light medium skin, it looks almost just like a base color. If you have much fairer skin than me, you're gonna notice it's gonna be like a sort of like deeper rosy nude on you. But for anybody around my skin tone and deeper, it's gonna be more of like a base color, which I mean, it's fine by itself, but it's gonna almost look like too nude from far away. So I would want to add a little bit of extra color to this. But I have seen some really, really deep skin girls use it with their brown lip liner, and it looks so fucking pretty for like the really cool toned deep skin girls. Let me try adding a layer without the brush, because sometimes the brush can make it a little bit lighter in pigment. Yeah, no, it's just a typical rosy nude. I would say it is neutral, but it's definitely leaning more cool. It's like neutral cool. With a color like this, what I like to do is actually use a contour pencil just to add some shape in the lip and dimension, because sometimes it can look just like flat almost because it's so nude. So contour here, here, right here. Like that. And it's pretty. So I do think it's a perfect rosy neutral shade. It definitely depends on your actual skin tone to begin with. If you're lighter than me, I'm like a 23 in Korean foundations. If you're lighter than me, this will show up more of like a neutral rosy tone, neutral cool rosy tone. While anyone deeper is gonna look more of like a cool toned, like rosy nudish color. And also if you just have like constantly raw, dry, fucked up lips, I probably wouldn't even suggest it for you guys just because of the formula itself. There's my little TikTok shorts. Okay, also there was all the new Drop B, or what I got my hands on, the new Drop B shit. Final thoughts. Perfect for severely dry skin. Cause, and you know, I guess dehydrated skin as well. The foundation, the pot concealers, and you know, these, I still have the same opinions about these concealers. They're still really good if they suit your skin tone. So a fantastic alternative to the SEM ones. But these renewed ones are definitely more 촉촉해, which can be a good thing. Because sometimes the SEM ones, like I said earlier, are a little bit too dry sometimes. But definitely everything seems to be leaning towards the people that want that moisture in their base makeup. I have a good feeling it probably has to do with the fact that they're all vegan formulas, so it's just going to be a lot more like naturally glowy, oily looking stuff. This one, definitely more of a skin tint. I might not reach for it that much because I do love a good foundation plus BB cream moment, so I feel like, you know, if my skin is particularly dry, maybe I'll reach for it. But as someone that just has a lot of base makeup already, I probably might not reach for it that much. This though, this is really nice because I can get that extra coverage plus the pore covering power plus just that tantanan, that the more stiff concealed texture without it looking dry and cakey. And I can just dip my puff in and just use that. So it very much reminds me of just the Chungsemur concealer that's in this little, that's in that little box thing I showed you earlier. The white one as well, dare I say, it's a really good dupe for this one. Dupe in the sense that very similar form factor, but if you ever tried this and you felt like it's just so fucking greasy, then this will be good for you. So if you have very, very, very dry skin and you feel like a lot of concealers just look cakey and dry on you, this would be good. But if you're not really that and you want something a little bit more stiff, droppy. Get the droppy one. So this one is going to definitely see a lot of use. A lot of use. Because I think this in tandem with a puff is just like perfect. Now, with the base makeup, while I said, oh, if you have dehydrated or normal or dry skin, great. I just would avoid if you're severely oily. This one, I would avoid it if you just don't like really greasy looking stuff. Because on camera, it looks nice and beautiful, to be honest. But I don't know if like an everyday average person would want this, especially if you live in a hot place. Or in the summer, it's summer, so we all know Korean summers are harsh. So this glow would be perfect for like the winter or something. But well, to be honest, I do feel like some people associate spring and summer with glow. Especially if they like that minimal makeup. So if you like minimal makeup, I like these. Or you just want stuff that's not drying, you'll like these. Especially because they're not so, specifically these two, they're not so densely pigmented. I know sometimes lack of pigment can be like a like a negative thing in the makeup community, but honestly, for a lot of regular people who are so heavy-handed with their shit, these are great beginner-friendly stuff because, specifically these two, because you can pretty much just slap them on, but they never get overly too much pigment on the face. It's just that they're very glowy, so do keep that in mind. Also, I would recommend getting some kind of stippling brush like this because it will help you. You can definitely use your fingers or whatever, but I feel like if you try to use a puff, it would take off too much of the product, and so you're pretty much just like going back in, taking it out with the puff, going back in, taking it out with the puff. Probably the only thing I don't really like in this collection, and not because I don't like the formula or whatever, is because I find it useless, is the highlighter. If I had a more matte blush, like let's say I use like a liquid blush. I do have a liquid blush that I do like. It's for that Chinese one, the AZTK one, but it's very matte. Let's say I like the color of that, but I want a bit more glow to it. I would use something like this, or I would just use the AOU one. This I would definitely use on top of a more matte look, and I just want added glow to it. But the blush already gave me so much fucking glow that I think it's kind of pointless, to be honest. So that's the only reason I don't like it. But otherwise, yeah. I just find it a little strange that everything went this glowy when the original lineup was just more down the middle, I guess. Not too matte, not too glowy. If anything, I find that the advertising photos are a little bit misleading because they don't look that glowy in those photos. There's my thoughts and opinions. I need to go get ready to meet up with my friend, and so I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, y'all. Bye. Yeah, oh God. The other day, I was doing some weird shit here, like, just... I was doing something. I think I was like I wasn't dancing. Or whatever. I was just like doing something weird with my body, and then I realized the people on the other side of that house right here were like, I don't think they were looking, but I saw that they were sitting by the window with the blinds open. So I immediately froze in my tracks, and I was like traumatized. I don't think they were looking at me though. I don't think they saw me because my room, the lights weren't on, so you can't see into the room. But still. It got me shook in my boots. It got me shook in my motherfucking boots.